Welcome to another short subject from EducateVirtually.com. We're going to talk about Quality Function Deployment, QFD. The case of the battle between the how we have to achieve something and the what we have to achieve. So let's take a look at an example of using Quality Function Deployment to help a project improvement team determine where they need to focus on their process to make dramatic improvements. So the example we're going to take a look at is a turret stamping process. Alright, so the first thing that the team had to do was to put together a list of all of the key performance metrics, the what they have to achieve. So there were measurable variables and also visual attribute characteristics on how they would evaluate products, and we listed all of those. Everything from cycle time to tool life to critical dimensions to visual characteristics of burrs and steps and scratches. And then those characteristics were then evaluated from the standpoint of, well, how do we currently perform? All right, where do we want to be in the future? We calculated an improvement factor, okay, a leverage factor from the standpoint of, is this something that would, based on the Kano model, drive a customer to buy our product? And then we would calculate an overall weight for each one of these what we have to achieve characteristics. So these are our critical to quality characteristics over here, and now they've been put in Pareto order from the most important to the least important within the two groupings of measurables and visuals, and they have a weighting factor that we can then use to multiply against the relationships with the hows and the whats, and we'll get to that in a minute. Now the next thing is to take a look at the process. Now their process was pretty complex, and the whole team just stood there and said, well, okay, well, where do we focus? What do we do next? So we take a look at their process map, and we listed each one of the process steps within their process flow. And this starts at the beginning down to the end, and you can see they're all delineated by a dark line going across here. And then what we did was we brainstormed about each one of the steps in the process to identify the key variation contributors. You know, what are those potential variables, those things that may drive or influence the output of our process, whether it's quality or productivity, cycle time, etc. What are some of those variables that may influence how well we perform? So we've listed all those. We haven't given any rating or ranking to these at this point until we put them into the quality function deployment matrix. Then once we've done that, we take each one of those variables and we then compare it against the what we have to achieve. So the how is going to drive the what. Well, if there's no relationship, we leave it blank. If there's a weak relationship, we give it a triangle, that's a 1. If it's a moderate relationship, it gets an open circle, that's a 3. If it's a semi-strong, it gets a black star, that's a 6. And if it's way wicked strong, it gets a big black dot, that's a 9. These scores are then multiplied by the weighting factor, and we do that for each one of them, and then we sum that up down at the bottom to get an overall score for that how, and then we can create our Pareto within each one of the process steps. So now what we've done is we've identified some key significant variables here that have a big influence on all of the quality characteristics that we're trying to make an improvement on. So these are going to be some of the variables that we're going to want to include in some of our designed experiments so that we can determine what the operating windows are so that we can then control the process, because that's what process control is all about. Find the operating windows and then manage to maintain those operating windows, and then we can predict what the outcome is going to be for each of our quality characteristics. So this way we have taken a process that was very complex and we've demystified it using the quality function deployment matrix method. So now the team knows where to focus their attention because we've narrowed the field from the trivial many to the vital few. Well, there you have it. That's quality function deployment for use on making process improvements, brought to you by EducateVirtually.com.